Hello and here we are again. Doing the Age of Sail because it's pretty fascinating. Boats and stuff. Ooh, I should do pirates next. That'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Anyway, this is a surprisingly short article, but I'm guessing like basically every single other article, there will be a lot of stuff kind of bopping off of it that would be interesting to read. Like about this 1996. Ooh, I think I actually recognize that. Age of Sail is a 1996 naval combat computer wargame developed and published by Talonsoft. The game covered the naval campaigns of the French Revolutionary Wars, Napoleonic Wars, and other more minor conflicts in the period 1775 to 1820. In addition to the campaigns, there are more than 100 independent scenarios based on significant naval actions, including the battles of Trafalgar, and Camperdown. I don't know. The game includes a scenario editor with over 2,000 historically accurate sailing ships, allowing the extension of the game by the user. Man, that sounds quite full for a game from '96. This is Windows. Well, I don't know. Windows 95 probably, I guess. Cool. Oh, in 2001 we had Age of Sail 2. Yeah, I think I recognize that. Okay, anyway, that whatever. The Age of Sail is a period that lasted at the latest from the mid 16th or mid 15th to the mid 19th century. So 14 or 1500s to the 1800s, in which the dominance of sailing ships in global trade and warfare culminated, particularly marked by the introduction of naval artillery, and ultimately reached its highest extent at the advent of the analog age of steam. Enabled by the advances of the related age of navigation, it is identified as a distinctive element of the early modern period and the age of discovery. Distinctive element of the age of discovery. Especially in the context of the latter, it refers to a more particular Eurocentric age of sail, while generally the age of sail is the culminating period of a long intercontinental history of sailing. Darn, yeah, already like every single thing there is something to read. Periodization. Like most periodic eras, defining the age is inexact and serves only as a general description. The term is used differently for warships and merchant vessels. Sailing ships are an ancient technology, making far-reaching trade like the ancient spice trade possible. With the Mongol invasion of Java in 1293, cannon started to be used in naval warfare, like Setbang by the Majapahit, I don't know. And by the 14th century, naval artillery was employed in Europe. That is, the 13th century, naval artillery was employed in Europe, documented at the Battle of Arnemuiden, which was in 1338. The 15th century, besides the established sea powers of the Central Indian Ocean trade, such as the maritime kingdoms of Austronesia, saw a rise in the development of oceans voyaging fleets, including carrying naval artillery from the extreme points of the trade, such as the Ming treasure voyages or the Iberian naval ventures all the way along the African Atlantic coast and across the Atlantic Ocean, starting the Age of Discovery. There is a lot to read in the Age of Discovery, I bet. Yeah, that's what I think of. Yeah, that kind of sail. For warships, the why this felt very confusing. Was what? Yeah, how many sentences was that? Okay, there's a sentence. The 15th century. Yeah, when they end up having these massive sentences, it's just hard to parse out individual ideas. I wish they didn't do that. The 15th century, besides that, okay, so the 15th century, taking out this phrase, the 15th century saw a rise in the deployment of oceans voyaging. I think that must just be a typo of ocean voyaging fleets. I don't think it should be oceans because that kind of messed with my brain a little bit. I don't know. I'm a very literal person. Anyway, saw a rise in the deployment of ocean voyaging fleets from the extreme points of the trade, such as the Ming treasure voyages or the Iberian naval ventures, all the way along the African Atlantic coast and across the Atlantic Ocean, starting the Age of Discovery. Cool. For warships, the Age of Sail runs roughly from the Battle of Lepanto in 1571, the last significant engagement in which oar-propelled galleys played a major role, to the development of steam-powered warships. So warships, Age of Sails, is from the last significant engagement in which oar-propelled galleys played a major role, which was the Battle of Lepanto in 1571, up to the development of steam-powered warships. My dog might start barking in just a second because she heard something outside. Is she looking at anything? No, she's not looking at anything in particular. Cool. The Golden Age of Sail. The period between the mid-19th century to the early 20th century, so the mid-1800s to the early 1900s, when sailing vessels reached their peak of size and complexity with clippers and windjammers, is sometimes referred to as the Golden Age of Sail. And random side note, I suppose there are these obscure Star Wars comics from the 90s, I think, talking about the Golden Age of the Sith, and there are some um, basically the spaceships used in that era kind of resemble um, more or less this, like the style of windjammers and clippers is actually no, they may even call their ship a clipper. That general style of boat is kind of influencing the design of the other stuff. Sorry, of yeah, got distracted there for a second. Let me just move on. Anyway, the decline. The second seagoing steamboat was Richard Wright's first steamboat experiment, an ex-French lugger. Lugger? Luger? Luger? I don't know. Actually, I want to know. Lugger. Lugger. Okay, it is a lugger, which Oxford calls a small sailing ship with 2 or 3 masts and a lug sail on each. I'm sorry, I'm getting a ton of group texts from my family right now, and it is incredibly distracting. Holy smokes. Okay. Um, oh my god. Stop freaking texting. Holy smokes. Let me turn it on do not disturb or airplane mode. Isn't that the same? I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to no wait. Okay. Pardon this brief mental intermission. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So that's second seagoing steamboat. This is why do they even dedicate an article or a section to this? The decline of the age of sail. Why not they just call this the rise of what was it? The age of discovery or oh, no, the age of steam, because that seems like what it is. Anyway, the second seagoing steamboat was Richard Wright's first steamboat experiment, an ex-French lugger. She steamed from Leeds to Yarmouth in July 1813, which, if you don't know how impressive that is, that's the West Yorkshire, England, to Yarmouth, which is in Norfolk, England, which I don't actually know how far that is. The first iron steamship to go to sea was the 116-ton Aaron Manby, built in 1821 by Aaron Manby at the Horsley Iron Works, and became the first iron-built vessel to put to sea when she crossed the English Channel in 1822, arriving in Paris on the 22nd of June. That is another like run-on sentence. Just say like the first iron steamship to go to sea was a 116-ton Aaron Manby, built in 1821 by Aaron Manby at the Horsley Iron Works. Then say it became the first iron-built vessel to put to sea when it crossed the English Channel in 1822 and arrived in Paris the 22nd of June. That just bothers me. Maybe I'll edit that. Probably not. She carried passengers and freight to Paris in 1822 at an average speed of 8 knots, which is about 9 miles per hour or 14 kilometers an hour for those that prefer to use the correct measurements. So that is a slow ship. But the first thing in it is 116 tons and it is iron. The first purpose-built steam battleship was the 90-gun Napoleon in 1850. Multiple steam battleships saw action during the Crimean War, especially the Allied, French and Ottoman fleet bombardment of Sevastopol. Sevastopol? Sevastopol, I'll say, as part of the Siege of Sevastopol from 1854 to 1855. The first ironclad battleship, Gloire? Man, I was not ready for all these weird names. Glue? Let me see. Oh, it's glory. It's French word for glory. Come on. No, just say the word. Gloire. French is so dumb. Gloire. That was the first ironclad battleship, the Gloire, launched by the French Navy in November 1859. So we had first steam battleship in 1850, first ironclad battleship in 1859, and in March 1862, Battle of Hampton Roads, the ironclad CSS Virginia fought USS Monitor, making this the first fight between ironclads. The Suez Canal in the Middle East, which opened in 1869, was more practical for steamships than for sailing ships, achieving a much shorter European-Asian sea route, which coincided with more fuel-efficient steamships, starting with Agamemnon, Agamem, Agam, Agamem, Agamemnon, I don't know, in what is it? Built a trade between Britain and China. I don't know that word. Whatever. Agamemnon in 1865. Why is this whole section in here? This should be in like the history or the rise of the age of steam. Why is it in like this is only about steam stuff? This is not about sailing ships. It's all about steamboats. This is really disappointing. And I'm sure I'm doing a really disappointing reading of this article by largely not reading the article. But whatever, I'm not actually making these videos for other people. They're more for me to actually read these articles. So, suck it. Anyway, by 1873, the age of sail for warships had ended. With, unless I'm just misunderstanding what exactly they mean by a sail ship or sail, I don't know. But they're talking about steam. Like all this is about steamboats. I've seen steamboats before. Yeah, that's what they look like. Whatever. Let me just keep reading. I say let me as if like people have to do something. No, I have to just keep reading. That's all. So age of sail for warships ended in 1873 with HMS Devastation commissioned in 1871. Devastation was the first class of ocean-going battleships that did not carry sails. Sailing ships continued to be an economical way to transport bulk cargo on long voyages into the 1920s and 1930s, though steamships soon pushed them out of those trades as well. Sailing ships do not require fuel or complex engines to be powered, thus they tended to be more independent from sophisticated, dedicated support bases on land. Crucially, though, steam-powered ships held a speed advantage and were rarely hindered by adverse winds, freeing steam-powered vessels from the necessity of following trade winds. As a result, cargo and supplies could reach a foreign port in a fraction of the time it took a sailing ship. Sailing vessels were pushed into narrower and narrower economic niches and gradually disappeared from commercial trade. Today, sailing vessels are only economically viable for small-scale coastal fishing, along with recreational use such as yachting and passenger sail excursion ships. In recent decades, the commercial shipping industry has been reviving interest in wind-assisted ships as a way to conserve fuel in the interest of sustainability. I have heard of that, but they need a citation. Legacy. A new age of sail has been predicted by some experts to occur by 2030, driven by a revolution in energy technology and a desire to reduce carbon emissions from maritime shipping through wind-assisted propulsion. The book Trade Winds: A Voyage to a Sustainable Future for Shipping discusses the potential of a return to wind propulsion through the first-hand experiences of Christian de Boekelauer, who spent 5 months aboard a sailing cargo ship in 2020. Yeah, that was generally a pretty. Oh, I have a kid that's about to come up to my door. I'm certain. That's a generally disappointing article because it didn't really talk about sailing ships much. Just talked about steamships largely. Oh well, we'll scratch that itch in reading Clippers and Windjammers probably. Cool. Toodaloo. Wait. Oh wait. No. No. We have to look at pictures. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The Battle of Scheveningen, the 10th of August, 1653, painted by Jan Abrahams Bierstraten. Bierstraten. A lot of Dutch in there. It's beautiful. I do wish I could have been a. Well, I don't wish I could have like lived aboard one of those ships, but I do wish to at least have. I don't know. I don't want to either have lived in that time because we are so fortunate for everything we have. But I would like to see one of those ships up close. I know there are still some replicas here and there. Cyclopedia, 1728, Volume 2, section of a ship. They are just so magnificent. Austronesian Proto-Historic and Historic Maritime Trade Network in the Indian Ocean. Okay, okay. Hmm. Transasiatic route going from the Arabian Peninsula to like Bangladesh, Malay area, and up to like China, um, around the bend of Vietnam. Okay, a secondary route. I don't know what for. Going from basically the Arabian Peninsula down to Madagascar and other routes. Yeah, that's just secondary routes. Okay, actually, I really don't know what this is trying to say. Interesting plotting of trade routes, though. Several of Zheng He's 15th century ships as depicted on a woodblock print in the early 1600s. The Devastation, HMS Devastation. Cool, that's it. Now we can go. Goodbye.